What can you tell us about their quarterly results?
All right, so the results are confusing, and I want to jump right in here because the company said they were going to sell 11,127 cars at least in the fourth quarter. At the end of the last third quarter, they said, we're lowering our target of cars shipped from 35,000 to 33,000, but don't worry, we're going to get to 33,000, which means 11,000, call it 200. They sold only 9,834. But they introduced this new metric at the top of their press release of how many cars they produced in the quarter, of 11,627. So if you glanced at the release, you said, hey, I'm looking for 11,200. They got 11,627. That's great. Buy the stock. They beat the number. Well, they missed the number. They sold a lot fewer cars than their guidance had been and that many on Wall Street were looking for. They're blaming it on production problems with their new dual drive P85D. They're saying 1,400 orders slipped into the next quarter, that they just couldn't get those cars made. But the bottom line is they made more cars than they sold. Pim, you and I talked about whether or not there was demand for these cars above and beyond what they could make. Well, they made more than they could sell, so that tells me that there's a backlog. Now, the stock has been whipping up and down and up and down again in after-hours trading. But fundamentally, they sold fewer cars, and the growth rate sequentially, which Wall Street thought would be 45%, was only about 26% in the number of cars that they sold in the quarter. And the loss, an enormous loss, the biggest loss they've ever had at Tesla since they started making the Model S. So, you know, a quarter that was not what the most bullish people thought it might be in the fourth quarter of 2014.
Corey, the shares of Tesla are down about 2% in the after-hours trade. Let's just put this into perspective. Current market value of Tesla, about $26.6 billion. That makes it $10 billion more valuable based on the stock market than a company like Kia. They produced 3 million cars last year. You're saying that, all right, they had trouble getting to 33,000 cars at Tesla. Is Tesla really a tech stock, not really an automotive stock?
The stock, yes. The company, I don't know. I mean, isn't every company a tech company? Who has more technology, Tesla or Ford? I don't know the answer to that. I think it's traded with the expectation of fantastic growth. But what we can see from the results at first glance here, and I will also say they pushed back the time for the conference call. These earnings came out, were supposed to come out at the top of the hour, came back, you know, New York time 5:15 or so pretty late in the day.
They give you any insight into what's going on with the Model X? Weren't they saying that was going to be delivered in the third quarter of 2015? That's the four-wheel drive SUV.
They say it's going to ship in the next 6 months. I've seen various reports of some test drives happening around in secret locations around here in the Bay Area, including the Alameda Naval Base across the bay from us here at Bloomberg. They say that while they're now, understand, they announced with great fanfare this D85 that they couldn't even ship in the quarter, but they're saying that the development remains on plans for initial customer deliveries of the Model X in Q3. That's been pushed back a few times, but they say that 30 beta models have been built or are undergoing testing right now. And you know, maybe there's some excitement over that product, that SUV hitting the market on time. But what we can see from these results is the last car they said would be on time isn't, and that they're having production problems there. Maybe the next one will be on time.